It's another Spike Studio production.
We are happy to be able to bring you a What's New in Sametime 8.5.2 webcast. I brought together an excellent panel. We've added one as well, as you can see on the screen. So Carl Tyler's here, Gabriella Davis, Lisa Harris from IBM, also Dave Marshak from IBM, and myself. A couple quick screens, and also we'll get rolling into the deep content. I want to show you a few things that are coming up. Let me change. Has everyone seen my screen yet? Everyone should be seeing my screen. There you go. All right, make sure everyone was seeing the right one. There we go. Okay. I wanted to minimize everything for us. So what we have is everybody's together on the panel, and I'll give you the agenda, the breakdown, and some upcoming events that are also going to be going on. We're going to have one more webcast coming up. Hit the schedule quick on Deos, install and config, and then until then, really nothing until IAMLUG, because UK lugs in 2 days, so I didn't even bother putting it on the slides. But IAMLUG will be in August itself. I do want to welcome our panelists today, and then we'll talk to GSX real quick. But Gabriella Davis, Gab, you going to say hello?
Hello.
She's there, so everyone can see. Gab's probably one of the top experts in Sametime from the business partner community that there is. Director of the Turtle Partnership, as you can see. Also writing a Sametime administration guide. That'll be out when, Gab? When is your book going to be out?
It comes out this summer, but I should say, it says I'm co-author with Marie Scott. I'm actually co-author with Marie and Tom, and I put it on my slides and you've taken it off.
What?
So just in case Tom hears this, I did have Tom Duff's name on it as well.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I don't remember seeing Tom's name on there. Do you,
I
Chris?
just pasted that. I don't remember. It's in small font. I know. I'm sorry. I did not see when I cut and pasted. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, the book's due out this summer. We've been writing to 8.5.2, so it's going to be up to date for 8.5.2 and all the new features in there. And I think it's probably due out late summer.
Okay, excellent. So someone asked the question already, and I'm going to be real honest with them, and I'll answer this question now only because they did. So I have to ask, Sametime launch using GoToWebinar, not Sametime? Let me answer the question up front. There's two reasons for this. Number one, Sametime 8.5.2 was not in gold production for today. As everyone knows, it is being launched today, but it's not downloadable, installable code. I couldn't have it running by 10 o'clock this morning. First things first.
Chris, come on.
And secondly, due to the international aspect of this, I wanted to make sure everybody was able to get telephony numbers to integrate in and be able to ask questions, because this panel is not a listen-only show and tell for you guys. It is able for you to not only type questions into the chat, but also I can turn on your audio and you can ask us questions. That feature for the whole telephony integration wasn't ready for us to integrate yet, so we've been using this platform for a while. So plus the recording is ready to go and working as well, and that's one of the biggest things. And yes, to you guys, you can definitely see the questions. It just popped up and I haven't moved them over yet, so give me 2 seconds and you all see all the questions as well. So hopefully that answered your question for whoever asked there. I'm not looking at the name. Next up, Carl Tyler. Carl, you want to say hello?
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, whichever part of the world you're in.
All right. So everyone can see, Epilio, Carl he has an awesome set of free plugins that are out there for everyone that wants to go and download those. Great video tutorial on installing them, as well as build some incredible, telephony integration solutions and everything else. So I think that's totally awesome. We're glad that Carl's here. Lisa's slide's going to be a little light after me because I didn't have any details on her. Everyone knows mine at Connectria. I've been doing the online guide. We're one of the largest hosting providers. We have probably more Sametime hosted than anybody that I know. We're SAS 70 Type 2 for U.S. people and EU Safe Harbor certified for all my UK friends that are over there. So if you need information on any of the three of us, all the URLs are there, and this webcast is being recorded, so you'll be able to play this back whenever you wish. So next up, and Elisa, I apologize in advance, but we didn't know anything about you. So we know the offering manager for unified communication and collaboration software, part of the Sametime blog and the team. Is there anything you want to add, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely not. No, okay. So thanks, Chris.
Maybe that she doesn't work for Turtle despite the logo in the bottom right-hand corner.
Correct.
I actually.
We'd love to have her, but I think she's with IBM.
I do. I work for IBM, and I've been here. I think I'm in my 12th year. I've been in the hardware, services, and software division. So I am myself a full solution, I guess. And as you said, I'm the offering manager for Sametime. It's been, I think, about 7 months since I joined the team. And I'm really excited about what we've got today to talk to you about and our new announcement.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Next up, Steve, I'm going to give you your couple minutes. Kind enough to sponsor this, to provide not only the bandwidth, but everything else that we needed for this, for the event itself. So, Steve, I'm going to give you your couple seconds. You can tell them, because you've now launched some cool things that is outside of this. It works with Sametime in terms of the monitoring realm, so everybody know, and then we'll get all our slide set ready in the back to start talking to everybody. Get your questions ready. You're able to put them into the text chat window that's on the side for questions, as well as the chat area. You're also able to raise your hand, and we will get you unmuted, and you're able to ask us. So if you don't have a mic and you just want to type it, you can. If you want to do live on the telephony to everybody, you can do that as well. And the order and agenda we'll bring up in just a second. So, Steve, if you're there.
I am here.
It is
ready to rumble.
It is all you. And I apologize for
Dave really quick, too.
Oh, Dave Marsh. Dave is here on the panel. Everyone can probably see he is part of the panel, Dave from IBM. Dave, do you want to say hello real quick before Steve takes off?
Hello real quick.
And what's your title?
Dave is the man that knows everything.
Yeah, I'm the Senior Strategist for Unified Communication and Collaboration. I've been with the transformation of Sametime from a sort of rigor mortis product to a vibrant product to a UC platform and on. So it's been an exciting ride for the last 6 or so years.
And I will issue a public apology to Gab and Lisa. We had set up the original welcome slide, and I had Carl on board, and I pasted it from a previous event we did. Didn't add in Gab's stuff, but as you see, the welcome slides had her, but didn't have Gab on that main page slide right away. And Lisa, we didn't know who we were going to talk to, Dave or Lisa or anybody else. So everyone's on board and involved. So, Steve, go ahead for a second. I'm going to get the slide deck ready in the background on my side.
Great. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. And I feel very honored to be considered a member of this auspicious panel. And thank you to Connectria and Chris for setting things up. A lot of you probably know who we are, and I want to try to go fast because you're obviously here for the main content, not about this. So we have a few moments just to tell you a few things about us. We've been around for a while. Most of you probably seen us at Lotusphere over the years, clients worldwide. We've got 3 main products in the Domino space. One is called ServerGuard. It does unattended Domino server and task crash recovery and unattended automated Domino maintenance scripts. We have another product that puts a front end on the provisioning process and does standard requests, so creating users, renaming users, things of that nature. It still uses admin P in the background, but this is a front end put on it so that you can push it out to other employees like HR. And then we'll spend a couple moments here on our main product, which most of you probably heard of as GSX Monitor, for monitoring Domino Exchange and Exchange for messaging, Bez and Traveler for mobility, SharePoint and Quicker for collaboration, and of course the Sametime platform. It has a couple of different parts to the product, and we'll go through those very quickly. I just kind of want to talk about a couple quick highlights. We have no code on servers, and another thing that I think is very critical is that we actually not only monitor the server, but we're monitoring the service, and we're actually attempting to do things like a user does, and that means creating chats and meetings in the context of Sametime. Some objectives that we want to try to do is help you respond more quickly, but we also want to help administrators and managers be more proactive to manage their infrastructure against the data there. And we'll talk a little bit about our reporting side in a couple screens. Here is our main dashboard, and green is good, red is bad, and we have a whole bunch of different servers here. So here we have some Domino servers, here we have some BlackBerry servers, here we have some Quicker and SharePoint servers, obviously Sametime 8, and then some Sametime 8.5 servers, as well as Traveler servers. Let's drill down and look at the Sametime 8.5 view. And the green lights are telling you that the server's up, and the particular services that each one of these servers do in the role that they hold in the 8.5 architecture are up and indeed functioning. And then on the meeting server with the DB2 backend, I've moused over that. You can actually see the number of meetings that are going on and things of that nature. Where this gets set up, and obviously there's a lot more here, and in a minute or two we're not going to go through it, but you define the role that the server has. Is it a community server, or is it one of the 8.5 specific server types? If it's a community server, we can tell it what services we want to monitor and actually artificially inject transactions for chats and meetings so that you can actually be sure that those services are working. If it happens to be an 8.5 specific server, whether it's a console, medium, meeting server, or methods of connection to that. And then, of course, we're monitoring and alerting you, and we can talk about this if you're interested at some later date. We talked briefly about the reporting side. Here we have our dashboard that's looking at our Sametime servers, all the statistics. If I didn't have a screenshot, I could scroll across and see this. We see that we have a certain amount of uptime. We have a certain amount of uptime over the last periods, in this case 15 days or weeks or months. And then I can even look at individual statistics and chart multiple of them simultaneously with this tool to look at a historical trend. In this case, it's days, but it could be much longer periods of time, clearly. And then finally, we have an environmental health tab that allows you to look at certain key performance indicators. And I can't scroll up and down here, but if I had the live system, I could. And you could look at various statistics that you want to look to on one screen about your Sametime server array, all of those servers, and you can actually pick and choose the statistics you want, although you can see that I picked certain ones right here. I'm going to wrap up right now. Here's my contact information, and certainly reach out to us at gsx.com, and I'm going to turn things back over to Chris, and thank you all.
Oh, gee. Wow. Okay, you flew, man.
I told you I would.
You flew. So everybody knows GSX just implemented the, as he said, the new Sametime, expanding the monitoring of that, which is really key and cool to what we talked about here. So that's why I invited them in real quick for everybody to talk to. That Sametime monitoring is going to be big with 8.5.2 and all the WebSphere components and the other pieces that are in there. So I've got the slide deck up and ready to go. And Steve, I'm going to take it back from you. All right, here we go. And I'm going to probably promote up Gab and them so they can see all the questions real quick. And let me change the presenter back to myself real quick. There we go. All right, everyone should be seeing it now. I could actually see what you guys are seeing, but let me take a pic. Okay, you guys do have it for the audience view. Perfect. So here's the agenda we're going to do for the day. And Gavin and Carl, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to jump you guys up. So first off, we're going to do is Lisa running through the key features and talking through those with you of the 8.5.2 and what's new. And then from there on, we can dig in. We've got Dave Marshak here and Carl and Gab both. We can go through architecture, which we're going to talk about. These are the things we want to make sure we cover with you. Some of the new things with clustering and federation, the NAT transversal, manage meetings, and at the end we have a slide with an architecture diagram as well, but also we left it towards the end because a lot of you aren't that deep into it yet, but the Sametime United Telephony as well as the new United Telephony Lite client and the capabilities that are involved in both. So let us give you the slide that, Lisa, you had up and get ready to talk to it if you wish.
Sure, great.
There you go.
All right, guys. I'm really excited to be here today. So we're announcing today Sametime 8.5.2, and as you'll notice, it's now called IBM Sametime 8.5.2, and we're still part of the Lotus brand, but we dropped the name because Sametime is really included as the unified communications platform in many IBM vertical solutions. So we're aligning ourselves with that and taking the IBM brand. And with that, I'm excited to tell you guys that as of today we've announced, and it'll be EGAing on June 10th, that we now have audio and video in the browser-based meetings. And so now you have the same seamless user experience with audio and video in both the rich client, and then also when colleagues, partners, customers, or work-from-home employees access it through the browser. Because of also, we're going to talk about more detail later, the NAT traversal, that audio and video is extended across corporate firewalls. So that's another feature that's coming out, that just came out. And now you can traverse across corporate firewalls, and you don't need a VPN to do so. Inside of the actual meeting room from the browser-based experience, we've also got new features. Some of the features that you saw with 8.5 and 8.5.1 that were just in the Sametime Rich client, now you can now also do from the browser, such as creating and sending polls and using annotation tools. We've also got some new meeting control features, such as being able to end a meeting for all. So Chris, if you and I are in a meeting and I get out of it, I can set up my meeting so you get booted out also. If you're talking too much and I don't want you in the call anymore, I can also boot you from the call and eject you. So Those are some of the new enhancements. And administrators also now have the ability to delete rooms on their side, not just the meeting room owners. So audio and video also, now we've got the ability for you to pick from multiple providers instead of just one for your audio and video. And we also have a new bandwidth manager server. So that way you can manage your overall same-time audio and video bandwidth impact to your network. So you can protect mission-critical applications by restricting and limiting the overall audio and video from same time. So those are some of the really new key features in terms of audio and video, and extending it and making your social business transparent and across organizations. And also for mobile, I'm very excited to tell you today that we've got same-time mobile client for the Android device operating system. Not only do we have presence in IM, but we also have an SUT dialer. So you now can place calls and receive calls via SUT from your Android devices. So and on top of that, we also are announcing today the same-time meetings are accessible from the BlackBerry devices. So you can join meetings from your BlackBerry device. You can even zoom in on them and participate in group chats. And another exciting announcement, and the last one on the theme there, is that we're now making it easier to start down the full unified communications and collaboration pathway with a new offering under the SUT umbrella called the SUT Lite Client License. What the Lite Client License does is it's going to let you make and receive voice and video calls from your same-time client. So it's really a licensing option that enables features that are already there in your media manager and the client to be able to do this. We're going to have either certified now or to be certified by the time we EGA or around that time, targeted SIP infrastructures with Cisco, Tandberg, Polycom, Radvision, Avaya, and Avaya Cisco for voice as well. So basically, it's going to take your same-time client and turn it into a basic soft phone. So that's one of the new offerings that we have coming out. And we also have a new release of Sametime Advanced. It features improved scalability to support larger user populations and LDAP group support for improved access control. And that's going to be managed from the system console, just like the rest of the Sametime features. So with that, Chris, I'll turn it to you to start.
No problem. Well, you're getting lots of questions were flying in. You'll
Great.
see a question tab pop up in the side of your panel bar, Lisa. We've answered some of them for you. The first one came through, so everyone should see it in the questionnaire because we sent it to everybody. When is the software available for download? We have June 10th. Gab answered that one as June 10th. And someone said, since it's no more IBM, how does it change licensing? And the wording was, it's all IBM. The Lotus name was the part that dropped. The licensing is the same. Same-time mobile for Android. What can you use to dial? Gab did a good answer saying, it's a chat client, not a voice client. We're talking same-time chat capabilities, right? Not audio on the Android.
No, we also have an SUT dialer from the Android device now.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So that's going to be built in as well. I'm going to send you some other ones that are coming through too. I have a link to today's announcement letter as well as Lisa does. We'll get that into the chat for everybody as well. I forgot about that. Now, we'll talk about the SUT dialer. We can go, Gab, let's go ahead and answer since we're talking about it now. Let's talk about the Android part since someone already asked about the same-time mobile for Android. What can you use? How can it dial? You're saying there's an extra part that's going to be in there, the SUT dialer?
Yeah, so it's part of the native Android application. So from your same-time licensing, just from a licensing perspective really quick, if you have same-time standard or advanced, then you're entitled to be able to access from the Android devices same-time chat, presence, and instant messaging, which has got some really nice features in it as well that's not on necessarily other mobile devices, such as being able to send a picture or having your text read to you. As far as SUT dialer, that's a piece that comes with Sametime Unified Telephony. So if you have the full Sametime Unified Telephony offering, you're also allowed to use it from your Android devices in regards to licensing. So you're going to be able to, your SUT phone number, your one unified phone number can direct to your cell phone just like you've been able to before, but you can also place calls from there, and the number that's going to pop up, for example, is your SUT number to other folks, and you avoid utilizing having roaming charges and utilizing minutes, etc. So it reduces your telephony costs because you're leveraging SUT instead
just
of
to
your
clarify, this isn't available. There's no dialing available with Sametime Standard on the Android. This is if you have full Sametime SUT separately deployed. Will it be available as part of SUT Lite as that add-on?
So let me, if I could jump in for one little piece here. There is dialing from the Android client from a Sametime business card. You could click and dial that number using, essentially using whatever dial plan you have on the phone itself. SUT or Sametime doesn't know about the call once it's been initiated. With SUT on the Android. Right. You can just click dial. You don't have to click on the number, but it'll dial it for you. But if you are an SUT user, it will in fact instruct SUT to make that call, so that you will appear as off hook. And as Lisa said, the incoming caller ID will be your SUT unified number, and you use all your corporate dialing capabilities. SUT Lite is a license to use the desktop client as a soft phone, essentially, so it does not impact the mobile.
Okay. Let's cover a couple of questions that came in, real easy ones. The timelines for Sametime mobile native app for iOS, Android and Windows Phone 7. Do we have a timeline for those?
Did you say for meetings? Or?
It's for the mobile native apps for iOS. They want, they're talking about a native app for iOS and some other ones.
Well, you mentioned
Machado just responded that it's not yet.
So we have
just responded saying not yet.
Oh, not yet. Well, Marlon's in the chat saying not yet, and
yeah. So we are targeting iOS capabilities as soon as possible, and on that. The Windows Phone we're taking a wait and see on because we haven't had any customers using it yet. So, but we'll see. That's lower on our priority. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And then farther down, we had one. Well, is this version of 8.5.2 including all recent fixes from 8.5.1? Any hot fixes, things like that? Someone wants to know that's all bundled in there.
Yes, that's what we always roll up all the hot fixes into the next modification.
One more. Marlon keeps throwing 50,000 things. One more in there. We'd like to hear about timeline for integration of these new features into Lotus Live. Is there a timeline for bringing this into Lotus Live, all these new features? Which is an interesting question. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have that available to be able to discuss that at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's certainly an intention, particularly on the new meeting features, to be able to bring those in, but there's no timeline yet for that.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, that was all the questions that came through. I'll get rid of the ones that were not questions so we can get them off the Q&A list. People are putting answers into the question area, so that's fine. Good. Everything's up to date and current, and we'll go through and we can look at exactly what we have. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Another question came in, and we'll actually be talking about that. So, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. Back to the agenda list. So Lisa gave us the key features. And we want to talk a little bit about the architecture and the importance of the community server and how important it is to the new architecture and how everyone understands how some people haven't moved to Sametime 8.5 yet. They're still upgrading now. 8.5.2 offers all these new capabilities. So Gab, I believe you put this one on the agenda. Did you want to cover your concerns, or not concerns, but information on the community server stuff?
Sure. I mean, the community server was just part of it. I wanted to talk a little bit of the architecture on 8.5.2, partly for some people that have moved to 8.5.1 and for people that haven't moved. If you haven't moved already, the key things you need to think about are the fact that you're going to be using DB2. You can't use another data source. You need to have a DB2 server assigned. Now, IBM will give you licensing as part of your Sametime licensing to install a Sametime DB2 entitlement. So if you don't have DB2, but you can't use another data store. The other key thing is if you already have community servers and you're using Domino directory as your authentication type, you're going to have to move away from that to LDAP. Although the community server on Domino will carry on doing instant messaging and all the features if you choose Domino directory, if you want to integrate it with any other component, the meeting, the media, the proxy server, the system console, you have to change it to LDAP. And that's quite a key thing for all the customers that are planning. That needs to be your first step on the road. The other thing I want to talk about with architecture with 8.5.2, if you haven't deployed WebSphere, when you install a WebSphere server, you have several different components. You have the deployment manager, which holds the configuration for all servers in what's known as a cell, and you have the node agent, which is responsible for starting and stopping a server. Now, ideally, if we're installing everything, say, on one box, which a lot of people have wanted to do for a pilot or for test, you want to install everything in one cell. And we weren't able to do that. With 8.5.1, every single element, proxy, media, meeting, had to be installed in its own cell. And the impact on that is you had several more server instances taking up processor room that you didn't need. But it also meant that you had a different interface to manage each server. You had to go to a different browser page in a lot of ways to manage each server. So that's all resolved on 8.5.2. They've changed the architecture. It's much smoother now. Not only can you install all the server elements in one cell or one box if you want to, you can also install a server and point it at a WebSphere application server on a different machine, which wasn't part of the install options of 8.5.1. So it really helps us streamline the number of servers we need, the amount of processor we're using, and also for those of you that use 8.5.1, you know if you log into the system console, you can't see all of the servers there. You can see the system console, but you can't see on the WebSphere management side, media, meetings, etc. You can with 8.5.2 now. If you install it, it's all federated into the system console, and the system console's WebSphere instance is able to manage and start and stop all the nodes and work with it. So if you don't know WebSphere, what I just said boils down to it's an awful lot easier to install and takes less hardware now. And if you do know WebSphere, hopefully that's what I just said. So that's a key thing I wanted to kind of point out, because it does make a significant difference. For those of you that are 8.5.1, it may be an opportunity to rethink your architecture as we go into 8.5.2 to make it more efficient. And for those of you that are thinking of going to 8.5.2, that's certainly an easier option for you to do that, to install everything on one box and to be able to expand out to additional servers on additional virtual machines or physical machines at a later date as demand increases.
Now, we do have a question that says, you know, what about easy migration from 8.5.1? So someone's saying they're already there. What about the migration to 8.5.2 and the ease of migration?
So you can upgrade the elements from 8.5.1 to 8.5.2. We do have migration tools. I'll be perfectly honest, because we've been in beta and we haven't had gold code yet. I never test migrating from a production using beta code.
Right. I haven't. So I'll second that. I haven't done that either. I got installed fresh with 8.5.2. I haven't done a migration from 8.5.1 yet.
Exactly. It's not something I'd try until the gold code is out. I know that's something that's available. We have tools to be able to do it. Personally, my concern is that in a lot of, I would have a look at 8.5.2, and it may be an opportunity to migrate and upgrade some of the data and maybe change your configuration a bit. Because if you did deploy everything in its own cell, that may not be something you want to carry on going forward with. And the nice thing with Sametime is that the only data that's held is the system console has a database and the meeting server has a database, and we should be able to migrate that data.
Correct. And so everyone knows, if you're sitting at 8.0 somewhere, or even the 7s, you're able to go just your community server to 8.5 and leave it as a community server and get, you know, 8.5, get it up to 8.5 without doing the console, you can do that path. We're not recommending or saying either way, but you can do that path. So that'll get you to the recent versions of Notes, the recent versions of Domino, the recent version of Sametime in terms of the community server. Then you can bring the community server into the console, but I prefer, the way I've been doing it, is anywhere in the 8.5 code stream is actually pretty much rebuilding that community server as an 8.5 server and bring it into the console during the install. So doing it all in one step instead, even if you don't use the meeting services.
The federating back into the console is a lot better with 8.5.2 than it was in 8.5.1. It is a lot better, but yes, I'd agree. Prior, what I was doing was uninstalling Sametime, leaving all the databases in place, and then installing it again and connecting it to the system console when you reinstall, because that's been cleaner and it doesn't require any reconfiguration on Sametime because all the databases stay in place.
Right, to add it back in. Same thing with the gateway, the things they did there as well. We had a good question that came in about recommended best practice architecture 8.5.2. If you're talking about, this is from Justin, if you're talking about a pilot mode, Gab and I will probably go back and forth, but I'd recommend you're going to need exterior to where your LDAP source is, 3 boxes, a community server, a main server probably for you want to run the meeting server, maybe the system console. This is pilot, and then a second box for running maybe the proxy. You could consolidate, but I'd say 3 boxes.
I'll be honest. I've done it on 2. I've done it on 2. I've put all of the elements on one box, including the community server and the NAT traversal.
That's a stretch.
So I've had everything on one box, and the only thing I've had separate is LDAP.
Right.
Now,
so
it's very much pilot, but you can absolutely do it.
Well, and what do you think your numbers is for pilot when you say that? How many users?
Like 100.
Okay. So we definitely agree we at least need 2 boxes. I go with 3, but Gab's saying at least 2. So both of us agree we're not going to do it on 1. We're not do our best. You definitely need an LDAP source that's going to be outside of it. So you're going to need that as well. So that's a good place to plan your pilot mode when you start talking about the basic architecture that's in there. So you guys can understand it. Now, one came in from Ben, and we can answer this real quick about the 2 DB2 installs, the full-blown and cut-down version, the version included with Sametime licensing. They're asking what version you get.
It's a specific limited use for Sametime. Now,
Right.
if you have a full license for full DB2 and you already have Enterprise DB2 deployed, you can do that. But
Right.
the license you're entitled to deploy is part of the Sametime downloads, and it's specifically called limited use for Sametime 8.5.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else you want to cover real quick before we talk about clustering and federation? We had a couple more questions. We'll talk about name changes and things like that. We'll talk about NAT transversal in a few minutes as well. We had a question on that. So let's talk about the clustering and the federation part that you brought up.
I also wanted to just mention, because I didn't quite, on the architecture, I'm sorry, I wanted to mention for when you're thinking about planning your architecture, bear in mind that all the other elements are pretty much tied to a single community server. So when you install the proxy server, it needs to know what community server it's servicing. When you install the media server, it needs to know what community server you're servicing. So if you've got 8 community servers out there, you can't have one proxy server servicing all 8. You need 8 proxy servers servicing all 8, because it's actually a specific one-to-one relationship between the proxy and a community server, and similarly between the media server and a community server. So when you log into the community server, the single sign-on connects you for the media server and it connects you for the meetings, but it is a very integrated relationship. So don't think, oh, I've got 30 community servers out there, I'm going to have 2 proxy servers, because that's not going to be an option for you.
Right.
You can use multiplexers if you've got like a community of, if you've got a cluster of community servers with a MUX in front of them, that's an option. But if what you've got is separate community servers, then you're going to have separate proxy and media servers to service them.
Yes, you're exactly correct. So that goes back to the old architecture, so people know about clustered community servers with multiple MUXs in front, multiplexers in front, providing scalability for those numbers, which is totally separate than scaling your meeting services. So everyone knows the MUXs and scaling meeting services are 2 totally different architecture decisions right there.
Yeah.
We had a question about name changes, which we're answering on the side, so that's done. Someone asked about net transversal, which we're going to talk about up there on number 4 after we talk a little bit about clustering and federation. And I think we're good to go. So I think we can move on to the next one. We want to make sure we fit all this in, everyone, as part of the thing. So we're going to keep answering questions on the side if we can in text. If we need to talk about them, we will. So who had clustering and federation? That's still you, Gab? But you brought it up, didn't you, Gab?
I did. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the thing to bear in mind, from your community server, clustering hasn't changed. If you're clustering your instant messaging servers on Domino, that changes not at all. You can still put a multiplexer in front of it. Everything stays the same. Meeting server clustering, you can cluster the meeting server, you can cluster the proxy server, you can cluster the media manager, which is the combination of the SIP proxy register, the packet switcher, and the conference manager. And you can cluster the SIP proxy registrar and the conference manager themselves. So all the elements, a lot of the elements can be clustered. You can't cluster the system console itself, which is your main administration interface. And the thing to consider when you're clustering something like meetings is it's not load balancing. So what happens is if you create a meeting cluster of, say, 3 meeting servers, when you create a meeting, it is assigned to one server in the cluster. So when people attend that meeting, they are sent to the server that meeting belongs to. If that server is down, they will all be sent to a different server. But you don't have the model where 3 people attend on one server and 4 attend on the other server, and they're all in the same meeting. That's not how it works. So you can't do the thing where you have people in New York and people in London all having the same meeting, and some people go into the New York server and some people go into the London server. That doesn't happen, and it's not your control. It's controlled by the deployment manager that decides, well, not deployment manager, controlled by the meeting servers which decides where everything goes. So when you create a meeting in the background, it's assigned to one of the servers in the cluster. So, and the reason I wanted to kind of clarify that as well, when you're planning a cluster with WebSphere, when you're planning a meeting server cluster or a proxy server cluster, you're going to see a lot of things in the documentation talking about vertical versus horizontal clustering, which is all about WebSphere clustering. And vertical clustering is where we would have, for example, 3 meeting servers, but all on the same box. And horizontal clustering is where we'd have 3 meeting servers, 1 on each different box, and then we might have 3 proxy servers, 1 on each different box. So each box would have a meeting and a proxy, a meeting and a proxy, a meeting and a proxy, all clustered together.
We should probably focus on that for 2 seconds and let everybody understand when you're dealing with hardware distribution like we do here in the hosting centers, and we talk about vertical and horizontal clustering, the scalability of that box, and if we're talking virtual or whatever it is, you're going to be allocating the same amount of resources no matter if it's physical or virtual. It just matters if you're going to be doing it on the same box. Memory, processor power, everything else, and we're not talking licensing and PVUs, but actual horsepower to run the environment based on your scaling. We deal with this a lot, and people say, well, can't I just scale this vertically and put this in the same box and put everything on there and then allocate resources? It's the same issue. We have to dedicate the same amount of resources no matter which way you do it, horizontal or vertical. I mean, it's just a key thing that when we get that approach a lot of times in questions, I want everyone to understand it. It doesn't matter which way you do it, you're going to end up eating hardware no matter what.
But it's a new concept for people that haven't worked with WebSphere clustering before. The nice thing about it is if you wanted to have multiple meeting server clusters serving different communities. Earlier I talked about the meeting server being connected to a community. So you could do that. You could have a cluster of servers and a cluster of European servers and a cluster of US servers, and they could be distributed across, next to each other across different hardware. So it's something you're going to want to put some thought into when you're planning your architecture. The good news is it's extremely easy to add additional cluster nodes after the event. It's not something you have to decide before you go in. You can build your initial very small deployment with a single primary node, and then in a few weeks' time go, oh, well, I underestimated how much we'd need. You can add a secondary cluster node or more secondary nodes and cluster them together, and that's fine. That's something you can do after the event. So, I wanted to let people know that's a feature that's there, but it's not something that you need to overthink before you start your planning.
All right, and we have a good question that came in. We'll keep rolling through because it fit before we move on to net transversal to make sure we finish the topics. About your comment about the proxy servers connecting to 3 community servers, I think you can see this question, Gab. So they're saying if they shut down the community server, what happens to the proxy server? So everyone should know the proxy is accessing the community servers.
The proxy is just an interface to the community server.
Right.
So if you shut down if you shut down the community server that proxy server is pointing to, the proxy server will run, but it won't be able to connect to anything.
Correct. It's only a web. It's a web glazing, so it's not like iNotice where it's the same template. It's just a web glazing that gives you the same capabilities. They've written it inside of, or I should say, on top of a WebSphere platform. It's pretty straightforward with that. Now, so it does ask a good question. What if I'm hitting a community server cluster from the proxy?
If you're using a multiplexer, or you're using, if you pointed the proxy at like a MUX, or you're using, a network load balancer, then that's fine. There's no intelligence in the proxy to decide what to do. It's just, well, no, sorry, that's a bit harsh.
No, it's absolutely correct. There is no, it's just an overlay web interface that allows you to do the look and feel of the Sametime Connect client from the web. That's it. It makes it real simple for everybody to understand. That's the difference between the two. A lot of people think it's a whole separate living, breathing thing. It's not. You need that community server for it to function. Yeah,
it doesn't have its own directory. It doesn't have its own data store. It just surfaces the community server. It's very nice. It's very slick. It's very fast.
Right. Now, we should bring, because Carl's been awfully quiet. Carl, you want to get in here on number 4 when we talk about NAT transversal and audio and video and web?
Sure. This to me is the feature that I think everybody's been waiting for from Sametime 8.5.2, which is the thing that makes it usable in the real world for meetings and audio video. I think prior to this feature, the web meetings and things were promising, but they weren't really usable unless everybody sat in the same office, which is why don't you just go to a physical meeting room anyway. For those that aren't sure what this is, NAT transversal is the ability for you to attend a meeting from, say, your home PC on your company's internet server without using a VPN connection. Previously, you had to be on the same network as the Sametime server, which meant that anybody that had something as simple as a Linksys firewall on their home network couldn't attend Sametime audio video meetings. So this to me is like the thing that finally makes audio video kind of similar to the Skype type capabilities where you can call somebody else that isn't in the same network as you.
Yeah, and that was we even had it here with different subnets. If you had different subnets and edges and everything else, it just wasn't working before. So this hopefully take care of all of that, and we're deploying it now through the testing, and we were in the beta stuff. So hopefully this really addresses the issue of not only opening it to your like Carl said, at home, but people across in another office in another city.
It's very slick. It works very well. It's a very simple deployment. It's not WebSphere. It's a jar file you just run interactively in a window on a machine. The install is 4 files and a batch file you edit. So it's for those of you speaking Domino language, it's basically a reflector. We used to have the reflector under Domino. This is basically doing the same thing. The prerequisites for it are that what's called the turn server, which is what the NAT transversal server is called, has to sit on the same network as the media server, because it's the packet switcher that's actually sending the traffic and handling that. And the deployment from IBM recommends that they sit in the DMZ, and the external clients are allowed to come through to the DMZ using the specific ports that it needs, and the same with internal clients are able to do that. So for some customers, I can see the deployment being that they create a media meeting environment entirely in their DMZ, which is designed to serve external clients and external connections. But it's extremely fast. If you're on the same network, even if you're outside of your office, if you're on the same network as someone, it will do peer-to-peer for the two of you to talk. So if it can do peer-to-peer, it will. and that includes video chats in the client. It's not just meetings, it includes audio and video in the client, and we can do one-to-one and multi-way. And the web browser audio and video is extremely slick. It's very nice quality. We've tested it on both the Mac and on Windows. On Firefox, it's supported on the Mac. Firefox 3.6 is supported, and IE and Firefox on Windows. And it's like Carl says, it was the big missing piece of the puzzle in 8.5.1, and it makes a huge difference to what we're able to deliver. Being able to do audio and video calls from out of a hotel room or from home is very, very easy and easy to deploy.
And also, you want to answer a question that came in the chat real quick while we're on this topic. SSL support for Sametime audio video meetings? If you know, off the top of your head? I didn't know either. I saw that one. I'm like,
No, off the top of my head, no. I'm trying to think of
Say that again?
switcher configuration.
Dave,
SSL support for audio and video.
Yeah, SSL for audio video, Mr. Marshak.
Actually, I think Marlon's probably the right person.
Oh, Marlon, if he sees that one in the background, I don't remember that one for Sametime meetings. We'll ask. Let's see if Marlon answers the background, because Marlon's been throwing some other things out there into the chats themselves. The question, Marlon, was
do people see?
You know what, Marlon? I could unmute him.
Do people see Marlon's postings, or do we only see those?
Because he put them in the Q&A and not in the chat area, only we're seeing them. But I can actually, I'm going to cut and paste some of his information back out there. Marlon, if you're able to, I can unmute you real quick so you can answer this question. They're asking about SSL support for the meetings themselves. And let me find Marlon real quick. Where is Marlon? Sorry, it's alphabetical. I know I just had to go down. There we go. Marlon, I unmuted your mic. Are you there? Can you hear? Can you talk?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, a little fuzzy, but we can hear you. So the question is about SSL support for the meetings themselves.
Yes, we do. What you do is you either configure the server to go over HTTP and port 80 or HTTPS on port 443.
Okay. So that hopefully answers the question directly. That was easy enough, wasn't it? And you did put a comment about the proxy server. Do you want to put your statement out there? We kind of covered it. You still need the community server, but you pointed out about it's more than just a proxy.
Right. It's if you look at the Sametime web client, it's actually built on top of the web toolkit. The web toolkit provides what we call UI widgets. They're very granular, and you can use those to introduce presence and instant messaging and other information from Sametime into web applications. We have business partners using it actively today to communication enable their own business applications. The website portal team has used it to build a next generation of Sametime portlets that are available, by the way, in Greenhouse on the Solutions Catalog. And so there's lots of stuff that you can do with the proxy. Today, it only supports instant messaging and presence, but we're looking into expanding support for other media-rich communication channels as well.
Okay.
And I know IBM might not like me saying this, but you can actually use the Sametime proxy server with older versions of Sametime as well. You actually you're not required to install the whole 8.5 infrastructure to be able to use the Sametime proxy server. Right. So you can get the great capabilities of the web client, the toolkits, the RESTful APIs, and everything else that exists for the SD proxy server without having to fully deploy, 3, 4 WebSphere servers or anything like that.
Not officially supported, we should say.
No,
it is officially supported.
Really?
And encouraged for those customers who are not ready to upgrade for their rich clients. They can actually do web-based applications and embedded Sametime CEVP applications using the proxy server. Absolutely.
And I've done a few slides and things on ST proxy on the blog, and there'll be more coming. But it's actually a great server addition to the Sametime family.
Okay. Excellent.
One thing while we're just talking about proxy, is in the documentation, but a lot of people miss it, and it's key. If you install everything on one box, the proxy has to have a different host name than the meeting server, or it won't work. The proxy will work, but the NAT traversal elements won't work. So even if they're on the same box, you have to give the proxy and the meeting server different host names.
Okay. So we've got 2 more quick sections, and we're coming down the wire because I know we're going to lose Lisa and them to the next launch announcement. So everyone knows I put it into the chat area. There is the big global live stream with the GM, Alistair, Jeff Schick, the VP of Collab, and Caleb Barlow, Executive Director of Unified. They're going to be doing at IBM.com/social a launch event coming up in about 12 minutes, I believe it is. And there's also another webcast this afternoon about social antenna, and you can see both those in the chat area. So, Carl, this was your section too. Let's move on to manage meetings real quick, since you brought it up.
This was my section too?
Well, because you brought it up first,
is
your stuff. Go ahead.
Did I? Okay. Well, basically, it's things like the ability now for admins to delete meeting rooms. And another key feature is now you can have it so that people don't enter the meeting room until the person that created the meeting is actually there. So you don't have people posting files and things unless you're actually in the meeting. Which I think that feature myself still needs to go a bit further. For example, you know, when we're in this meeting on this other platform, the presenters and everything can be in this meeting doing stuff before the attendees can join the room. That isn't what the case is yet, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay. Gab, you had some things there too on managed meetings.
No, it's a couple of things. I think there's 2 new features. The managed meeting, which prevents people going into your meeting until you're in there yourself, which I think is a huge step, because in 8.5.1, I think it was a real issue for a lot of customers that persistent meetings allowed other people to use your meeting room when you weren't there. And similarly, you have an end meeting, which basically kicks everyone out when you leave, which is also, like Carl said, it's not everything we could want from like a waiting room concept, but I think it's a big step forward. The other feature that we lost, and we're getting back to some degree, is the idea of broadcast meetings. I want to talk video and audio to everyone in the company, and I don't want their video and audio, and I don't want them saying anything. And what you can do is you can have what's called large meetings. You can specify a meeting as a large meeting, in which case all participants' names are hidden, and as they join the meeting, their mics are muted. Now, everyone is now going to spot the fact that they can then unmute their mic, shout some abuse, and mute it again, and no one will ever see them. But
right.
it is something that we didn't have, the concept of being able to go in and just have one person having the audio and video who could talk, and everyone else was automatically muted as they went in. So I think those 2 features on the meeting settings are quite important for 8.5.2.
So we got 6 minutes, everybody. We got one more topic. We've got 2 slides for it that we want to talk about for sure. We're going to flip to that in a second. We have 2 open questions in the chat if you 2 want to see or grab. There's only 2 left.
I'm just grabbing.
Yep. There's only 2 left that we haven't answered. So everybody else, if you have questions, please put them in the chat or raise your hand if you want to do something audio-wise or whatever you want to do. But we've answered everything that's been in there so far except for 2 that came in. So we're going to go ahead and take care of those. And I'm going to change the slide here. So we're talking about the United Telephony Lite, Sut Lite, of course. And we have Dave Marshak here who can answer a ton of questions that we need, but this is going to be very simple for a lot of people to understand what's going on. So if I got this correct, and Mr. Marshak can correct me if I'm wrong, everything you see on the screen is part of Sametime United Telephony, but just on the right is part of Lite. Is that correct, Dave? I know you're seeing this.
Actually,
I took this straight from your slide info.
So you know, essentially, think of Sametime Unified Telephony as having all these capabilities, and the box on the right is the Lite client has just those capabilities.
Correct. Now, why don't you give everybody here's this actual diagram screenshot. Do you want to give everybody an overview of what the United Telephony does, like a 2-minute max type overview of what it's going to do for them?
Yeah. So Sametime Unified Telephony, the full product has a set of middleware that connects to multiple PBXs, provides lots of capabilities like moving call from device to device and single number reach based on your Sametime presence and things like that. Sametime Unified Telephony Lite client provides a subset of those capabilities to a user, essentially the capability of using your Sametime client as a soft phone or soft video device. So you can make calls, receive calls. One of the major use cases is call into a video MCU or call to another video endpoint and use the HD video client that ships with Sametime as a video endpoint. If you look at the next, if you go to the next diagram,
sure.
The deployment is much simpler than a full SUT environment in that all that's required is a SIP trunk between the Sametime Media Manager, specifically the SIP proxy in that, and a certified third-party SIP infrastructure, such as a video infrastructure by Polycom, Tandberg, Radvision, or a telephony infrastructure, and the initial ones we're targeting are Cisco and Avaya, though there will be others.
Excellent.
Okay, I just want to point out really quick that this is the architecture for SUT Lite client, since it says SUT there.
Oh, sorry. I
okay.
missed a word on the paste over.
I'll forgive you for that.
Thanks. I did so well.
Good catch.
Good catch. Thank you. SUT Lite. I could change it live on the screen, but it looked really dorky, so we won't do that.
Yep.
So everyone knows SUT Lite. I believe we handled all the questions that are in there. Now you two have to go on to the next event, which we put into the chat, correct? There's the next launch event coming up, the big one here.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to go to ibm.com/social for the 12 o'clock, and you've got the link there for the 2 o'clock as well, so thank you.
Yep, so that's the live stream once again from New York City with Alistair and Jeff Schick and Caleb Barlow, and they're going to be doing a whole bunch of talking about stuff that's going to be coming up as well. If you want to reach everybody here, I should probably tell the replay. This was recorded for those that asked. It will be online at consultantinyourpocket.com. When we record these, we always post them, so they'll be online to stream. You can share it internally, whatever else you want to do. You can reach Carl on Epilio.com, Gab at turtlepartnership.com. Both of them are also on Twitter, of course. You can find them there. Lisa, you're on Twitter, I believe.
I'm on everything.
And then you're on Twitter as well. Find them there. Same Dave Marshak. Everybody's out there. We can get you their contact information at IBM. Thanks to Marlon for jumping in and answering a couple. I know we're at usually go an hour and 15, but because of the upcoming live cast right behind us, we're going to stick to an hour today. So if you have more questions, please email them in. You can email to the address on the screen. You can get to the website and review the replays. And otherwise, to all of you, thank you very much. Gab, Carl, Dave, Lisa, all of you. I think you're still in there. And they just answered the last question in the chat. So let's finish it now while we can and get out here. So thank you, everybody. We're going to end the webcast now, and we will probably you can see the replay probably by Monday, and you can catch us again at the end of the month for the next one on Deos. Thank you, everybody.